Let me ask you a simple question. You talk about your mission, you talk about your values, you talk about your slogan, but when I ask you, what is your brand essence? You pause, you think, and then silence. And here is the truth most people don't want to hear. Your brand is not weak because you don't have money. Your brand is weak because you don't have a clear answer to one question: who am I? Most brands don't fail in marketing. They fail in identity. They change messages every campaign. They chase trends every quarter. They copy competitors every year, not because they are stupid, but because they don't have a core to return to. So let me make you a clear promise. In this video, I won't teach you branding theory. I will help you understand brand essence and sketch your own in just 10 minutes. Not to make it perfect, but to make it directionally right. Because when the direction is right, execution becomes easier. Let's keep this simple. Brand essence is the most condensed soul of your brand. If your brand were a person, your logo is their face. Your tone of voice is how they speak. Your products are what they do for a living. But brand essence, it is their unchanging character, the part that stays the same even when everything else changes. Here's something important many people misunderstand. Brand essence is not a slogan. A slogan is what you say. Brand essence is the standard you use to decide what to say and what not to say. It answers questions like, should we be bold or careful? Should we follow trends or resist them? Should we prioritize speed or trust? Should we say yes to this idea or kill it immediately? Think of brand essence like a compass. When the market is noisy, when opinions conflict, when pressure is high, you don't debate endlessly. You ask one question: is this aligned with who we truly are? If yes, then move forward. If no, then stop, even if it looks attractive. That's why strong brands look consistent over time. Not because they never change, but because their essence never does. Now, instead of going deeper into theory, let me show you a simple framework to start shaping your brand essence clearly and fast. Let me be very honest with you. I don't use 7 elements. I don't use 9 blocks. I don't use complicated brand models. Because in branding, the simpler it is, the stronger it becomes. I only use one framework, 4 pieces, coming together into one core. Here they are. First, target consumer. This is not everyone. This is not 18 to 45. This answers one question: who is this brand truly for? Not who can buy, but who this brand is willing to fight for. Second, brand attributes. These are the facts. What this brand consistently stands for. What it always shows. What people can observe again and again. Not hype, not promises, but recognizable traits. Third, brand benefits. This is not features. This answers, so what does this brand change in my life? Functional, emotional, sometimes even social. This is why people care. Fourth, brand personality. If your brand walked into a room, how would it behave? How would it speak? How would it make people feel? Calm or bold? Warm or sharp? Rebel or mentor? Now here is the key. These 4 do not exist separately. They all point inward. They all converge into one thing, your core brand essence. One sentence, one idea, one inner truth. And from that core, everything else becomes clear. Let's start with the first piece, target consumer. And let me say this very clearly. If your first question is, how old are they? How much do they earn? Male or female? You are already starting in the wrong place. Because brand essence does not begin with demographics. Age does not tell you how people think. Income does not tell you what they value. Gender does not tell you how they live their life. So instead, ask a different question. Not, how old are they? But, how do they live? What does a normal day look like for them? What do they care about when they wake up? What stresses them at night? Do they value speed or stability, freedom or security, status or peace of mind? Here is a key insight I want you to remember. Brand essence always starts with rhythm of life, not buying behavior. Buying is a moment. Life is a pattern. If you only understand why people buy, you can sell once. But if you understand how people live, you can build a brand they return to. Strong brands don't chase transactions. They align with lifestyles. That's why great brands feel right even before people compare prices. So when you think about target consumer at the brand essence level, don't zoom into the checkout page. Zoom out into their life. Because when you match their rhythm, your brand stops feeling like marketing and starts feeling like belonging. Now let's move to the second piece. Brand attributes. Think of attributes as the conditions for survival. They are your capabilities, your quality standards, your operating principles. This is what your brand must consistently deliver. If you say you are premium, quality must be premium. If you say you are reliable, systems must be reliable. If you fail here, people don't argue, they simply don't trust you. But here is the mistake many brands make. They stop here, they list attributes, they celebrate attributes, they build campaigns around attributes. And then they wonder, why don't customers love us? Here is the truth. Attributes make a brand trusted, but they do not make a brand loved. No one feels emotionally connected just because you meet expectations. Attributes give you the right to play. They are necessary, but they are never enough. Now we move to the third piece, brand benefits. And this is where confusion usually begins. There are two types of benefits. First, functional benefits. They answer the question, what does this product do? This is the minimum requirement. If your product doesn't work, nothing else matters. But listen carefully. If you only talk about function, you are competing on price, even if you don't want to. Because function can be copied, features can be matched, technology can be duplicated. That's why many brands feel stuck in endless comparison. Now comes the second type, emotional benefits. This answers a deeper question. How does this brand make my life feel different? More confident, more relaxed, more in control, more proud. This is where attachment is formed. Functional benefits get people to try. Emotional benefits get people to stay. If customers only buy you when you discount, you are not building a brand. You are running a promotion machine. Now we arrive at a very misunderstood part, brand personality. This is where brand archetypes appear. And notice something important. Archetypes do not stand alone. They are not a poster on the wall. They are not a label you show off. An archetype is simply the way your brand behaves consistently, how it speaks under pressure, how it responds to criticism, how it treats customers when no one is watching. Is it a challenger, a guide, a protector, a rebel? Not in words, but in actions. And here is the line you must remember. Customers don't remember what brands say. They remember how brands make them feel. Feeling comes from personality, from tone, from behavior, from choices made again and again. That's why archetype must be embedded, not isolated. Now zoom into the center, the core brand essence. This is not something to show off in presentations. It's not for awards. It's not for decoration. Core essence has one job only, to check ideas, check messages, check behaviors. Before you launch a campaign, you ask, is this aligned with who we are? Before you write a headline, you ask, does this sound like us? Before you say yes to an opportunity, you ask, does this strengthen or dilute our essence? And here is the final truth. A brand can run hundreds of campaigns, but it should only have one brand essence. When that one core is clear, marketing becomes simpler, decisions become faster, and the brand becomes stronger over time. At this point, you might be thinking, this sounds deep, but where do I even start? Here's the good news. You don't need weeks. You don't need workshops. In just 10 minutes, you can already sketch your brand essence. Not to finalize it, just to see it. In those 10 minutes, you can roughly describe who your target consumer really is. List the few attributes that your brand absolutely must stand for. Name the core feeling you want people to experience with your brand. And then, try to write one simple sentence that feels like your core essence. It won't be perfect. And that's okay, because here's the truth. Sketching is fast, but getting it right is not. The biggest risk is not being unclear. The biggest risk is being clearly wrong and building everything on top of it. That's why brand essence should never be done alone. You need someone to challenge it, to question it. This video helps you understand brand essence. But understanding is not the same as doing it right for your brand. Every brand has different contexts, different markets, different traps, and most mistakes don't happen because people don't know enough. They happen because people don't see their own blind spots. So if you want to go deeper into each part, into common mistakes, into real cases, real decisions, real consequences, I've built a detailed course on brand essence to guide that journey properly. No rush, no pressure, just the right place when you're ready to move from clarity to confidence.